SHW. This is our wrestling.
This is insane what we're seeing right now.
We're going out tonight. It's been a long, long time. Make sure I look just right. It's going down.
Heads up, here comes the strap. All hail the queen.
Another spear, will it be enough?
No, not this
like
way.
this, not like
Come
this,
on.
no.
This is just bedlam right now.
Hey, what is going on here?
Let's start this party, then I'll feel alright.
You've got to be kidding me.
Holy cow.
And now, the voices of SHW, Brandon Benefield, Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle.
What is going on, everybody? This is the official podcast of Southern Honor Wrestling. It's SHW. This is our wrestling. B-double Brandon Benefield, GB Gerard Bonner, and the lovely Diana Michelle. We are coming off of one of our biggest shows of the year, not only of the year, I'd say biggest shows ever. It was our 3-year anniversary, Still Here 3, and it was a stacked card top to bottom. We're still buzzing. I'm still trying to get my voice back from screaming last week. It was crazy. Guys, how are y'all doing, first of all?
Man, it's been a weekend. I actually did get some rest this weekend, but yes, it's like everything is just – those shows in Canton, of course, they're far. So by the time I get home, I'm just like dead the next day. But, man, what a show. What a show.
Yeah, it's crazy show. And I didn't have nearly as far to drive as you did, Diana, though I did have enough distance. And, I was wiped out the next day too. But it's been a crazy week in my world, as you guys know. So exciting times. And
let's real quick. Let's give a shout out to Yanni. Shout out to Yanni for on Monday of this week was on. Tell us about it, GB. What'd she do?
Yeah, so my wife Yanni was on Wheel of Fortune. So if you guys watched Wheel of Fortune Monday night, you saw Yanisha, who was the life of the party.
Right.
And I'm not being biased when I say that.
She was awesome. She did great. She was
incredible.
Such a natural. She was awesome.
Yeah, she was incredible. And so she's been lamenting because she missed the bonus round by a mere $500. I mean, it was just, but she was incredible. And apparently we're going to Barbados.
I was going to say,
if you can't go, you tell her I'm going with her. I'll take it.
I was going to say, look, that dude that won, like he won a car or whatever, and he won some money, but he also got a trip to Utah. And I'm thinking, do I want to go to Utah or do I want to go to Barbados?
Exactly.
So who really won, right?
Yeah. And there's been a lot of argument that he actually won on the back or off the back of stuff she did, which you could argue being very true as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. True story. So the day after the show aired, my wife sent me the copy of an email she received from some guy who was in Hawaii who says that he is part of the Fung part of the family and their part moved to Jamaica and he's trying to see if they're related, et cetera, et cetera. Wow. Which I knew at some point there'd be these long lost cousins showing up, et cetera, et cetera. She decided to kind of cross-reference the email address. Turns out it was a guy from the Congo trying to get some of her money. And which I told her jokingly, it's probably somebody in a country close to Nigeria, and so be it. Congo is very close to Nigeria. And so, folks have been coming out. It was actually quite hilarious. But shout out to her. The episode is on YouTube for those who haven't seen it. And
wait, should I have not reached out to her asking who she was taking to Barbados?
Listen, she's gotten that question from so many people, which is awesome.
Fine. My bad.
I'm glad that she at least asked me if I wanted to go. So
there you go.
Instead of assuming that you wanted to go.
Or no, instead of assuming that I didn't want to go. So
you probably have a wrestler that weekend. You can't go.
Well,
that's what she's thinking, right?
Listen,
I'll take one of my girlfriends.
Right. No. I'll take one for the team. Yeah, I'll take one for the team. So shout out to Yanni, very proud of her, and shout out to a bunch of people from SHW and other places watched as well. So shout out to all you guys. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun.
That was cool. What a fun week. And of course, like I said, coming off of the huge anniversary show, just a couple days ago, we actually posted the poster for SHW 33, which is coming up on November 5th. And but again, coming hot off the heels of Still Here 3. So as we do after every show, let's go through it. Let's talk about it a little bit.
Let's.
And to start things off, something we've never done before the official start, something we've never done before a show is had a pre-show match. And it was announced right before, it was like maybe a day or two before the show. We found out that a team called TSF, which is Rosario Grillo and Hotshot Hunter Knott, we're going to be taking on the team of the Infantry, who we are familiar with. That's the Captain Shawn Dean, and of course, Tattoos and Bad News, or is it Bad News and Tattoos? Carly Bravo. Either way, they're a really good duo, and we've seen all four of those guys on AEW Dark a bunch of times. And of course, GB, you and I are familiar with them from the Nightmare Factory. We've seen them a number of times there, and I thought they put on a great match, a great showing for both teams.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, all the fans that were behind me, they were eating it up. But I think I personally had never seen, and maybe because I just missed a couple of darks, but to see Carly and Shawn tag together, I figured it'd be good, but I didn't know what to expect. But it was exceptional. It was very good.
Yeah, it was a great pre-show match. I think it's the start of something. I like the idea of these pre-show matches. You know, the crowd was all the way in by 7:30. People were vested. I thought it was a great match, a great showing. And I think it's a great opportunity, again, for a lot of the talent who would like a shot to be at Southern Honor. What a great way to show up on the pre-show, because, again, it's not like a pre-show or an opening act at a concert where there's nobody there. The people were there and they were vested. So a great thing. And I think we're on to something with this pre-show thing.
Oh yeah.
It was very cool. And we actually, we trimmed up our pre-show, our Facebook Live pre-show a little bit in order to be able to turn our attention to the ring to call that match. And just a quick little side note, because you just never know what's going to happen, not only in SHW, but also on the Facebook Live pre-show. We are live after all, but we start doing the pre-show and we see somebody peeking their head out of the curtain from backstage, and it's Jimmy Wang Yang, who you'll remember was at the Rumble Check this year making a surprise appearance, and also his daughter Jazzy was with him, so they jumped in and jumped on the pre-show surprisingly. Of course, Diana did as well, and so did
and Gary
Lamb at one point. But anyways, you just never know what's going to happen, and so that was a lot of fun. But I tell you what, that pre-show match, you're right, GB, if that becomes a more common thing, I think that's a pretty fun, and not only was it a fun way to kick off the show or to kind of get the juices flowing and get ready for the main kickoff of the show at 8 p.m., but it's also a great opportunity for the competitors involved, because a team like TSF and even Carly Bravo, who's part of the Infantry, those guys, all three of them are in their first year of being professional wrestlers. And for them to get a big opportunity on a bigger stage like SHW, I've seen them making their way around the Southeast to some of these little small promotions and wrestling in front of 30 people from time to time in these different places. But to come, and by the way, great crowd, 575, somewhere in there, I think was the number.
What a crowd. Yeah.
It was amazing, and the crowd was just jumping all night.
Yeah.
And so to be able to come in and perform in front of a crowd like that and just really see what it's like to be at SHW, I think is a great opportunity for those guys. And hopefully we'll see all those guys back at some point in the near future. But to kick off the official show, I think this would surprise a lot of people. We actually announced it earlier in the day on social media that this was going to be the show that the match that kicked off the show. And, a lot of people maybe expected it to be kind of like a co-main event, maybe right before the War Chamber, because it was that big of a deal. But who says you can't have a main event to start the show? I mean, you know what I mean? So I thought it was a great way to kick off the show. The only thing was, and I think we even said this on commentary, GB, was afterwards we said, how is everybody going to follow that? That was that's just the first match. And it was an amazing match. It was so emotionally driven and just so, all these
Brutal.
false finishes, you know, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was a brutal no holds barred match. Of course, I'm talking about Corey Hollis, Gunnar Miller, career versus career. We knew that at the end of that match, one of them would be done.
Mhm.
And it didn't really hit me until later, not even after the match. It was almost later in the show, or maybe after the show, where it finally set in, where I was like, wait a second, like, wow, that Corey Hollis, if you haven't seen it, now you know, but you saw it on social media. We posted about it afterwards, but Corey Hollis hanging the boots up after that match. It was, and we saw a side of Corey that we never get to see. Everybody's kind of booing him after the match. They were happy he lost. And then he tears up. He gets the mic, and all he says is, "Thank you." And then
I don't think he could get anything else out.
and then
He
we
was
had the
so
guest.
overwhelmed.
Yeah, guest referee Mike Posey was there, who they came up together in the business. Mike
Yeah.
Posey, if you don't know, has reffed for every company there is, I think. Since for like the last 15 years. He's been in WWE, TNA, Impact, whatever you want to call it. He's been ROH recently in AEW, and he's just been all over the place. And so he showed up for a huge match, an important match. Turned out to be Corey's final match, and they had like a tearful hug in the ring. And then it clicked with all the fans that, wow, we just saw the end of an era here.
Right.
And then you heard the "Thank you, Corey" chants. And I even told GB once that, when we hit a little break in the action, I was like, man, he got me choked up here. I'm trying to and of course, everybody's giving him a standing ovation. And what were you guys' thoughts on that match? I mean, it was an incredible, special thing to see, I thought.
Well, for me, you're going to watch two guys as some of the best in the business beat the crap out of each other with anything and everything they can get their hands on, right? So Corey has always been to me the kind of guy like a Ric Flair, like the guy you love to hate. He's the ultimate heel. And then Gunnar is kind of like the guy you hate to love, but you do.
Right.
So complete opposite, but they mesh. So I mean, they were perfect opposites, I guess. But I didn't expect the brutality of that match. I mean, Corey yells, "Give me the mic." I'm running up there to give him the mic. And I can see the welts and the purple bruises coming up on Gunnar's back. And he is steady just beating him with his kendo stick. I'm like, this is not, I mean, if anybody says wrestling spec, they're crazy. Because there's no way. I mean, you're not going to hit me with a kendo stick and it's just going to be like, oh, yeah, that didn't feel good, but okay. No, there's welts and there's purple bruises coming up with blood coming to the surface of his body. And I don't know, it got to me, it was just like, dang, do these guys really hate each other? Because if they don't, then I'd hate to see it when they really do, It was just a brutal match. But at the end of, like you said, when Corey really broke down and realized, yes, I'm retiring, I can't talk right now, I'm gonna cry. It was an emotional event, and like you said, the fans hated him, and then they turned, like, did anybody read what Gary wrote? They turned and they embraced him and thanked him for everything he's done for wrestling and Southern Honor. And it's a sad situation, but he's got things he wants to do and a little baby he wants to bring up, and I mean, I respect that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have been privy to a lot of very interesting moments to see live in person. I got to be there when the Undertaker streak was broken.
Wow.
I got to be there during the iconic Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania 25 match.
You're all over the TV in that one, by the way.
Strangely enough, I am.
Second row, by the way. If you go back and watch it, you'll see GB with the camera.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I'll tell you, one of the interesting earmarks of being in the pro wrestling business is, we talked about the last time when we were talking about the documentary, we talked about, our first night together, Diana and I. Well, our first night together happens to be the SHW title match between Logan Creed and Corey Hollis, where Corey Hollis wins the SHW championship. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, what a first night, right? Here's a guy who is the ultimate heel. And, in this world and era of pro wrestling where, everybody likes to say things like they separate themselves from the pro wrestler, and they say, and I'm going to say this, they say stupid stuff like,
Yeah.
this is a character I play and this foolishness. No, this is Corey Hollis. Corey Hollis is a pro wrestler who likes to, like most people, keep their business and personal lives separate. So he didn't go public talking about, his baby and what's going on in his personal life, because he doesn't have to, right? So when he makes this decision to have this match, in my mind, it's one of those things where you go, I don't know who could possibly win this match, or better yet, who could lose this match, because I don't see SHW without Gunner or without Corey.
Right.
I don't see that. So, to see it, and it was just like the finality of it when that 3 count hit, because there were so many points where it looked like Gunner could have won and he didn't.
Yeah.
Where I was like, Corey's not going down. He took 4 spears. Nobody takes 4 spears from Gunner Miller. Nobody. So it was just, man, it was really incredible. And so I just want to say thank you, Corey, for all that you've given to the pro wrestling business. Thank you for what you've given to us at SHW, because let's face it, you had one of the longest runs ever as an SHW champion, pandemic or not. You were a champion that people love to hate. You laid the groundwork. I don't think we get a David Ali as champion without a Corey Hollis really paving the way for what it looks like to have an evil champion, somebody who SHW loves to hate. So thank you for the honor of calling your last match, which we didn't know it was going to be. Man, I wish him well. I wish him well in the opportunity to raise a family, and for even feeling like his family needed the fullness of him, right? Some of us are able to operate our family and still operate our profession, but he felt the need to take this time and fully devote to him. And I think what hit the SHW fans, which we tried to stress on commentary when you guys hear it, is this isn't a loser leaves town match, right? This isn't him going to another promotion. And I think what happens for a lot of wrestling fans who are smart marks is they're going, oh, okay, now he's going to another promotion, right? Now he's going, when Ben Buchanan quit SHW, they were like, well, he's not quitting the business. He's going, to another territory or whatever. This wasn't that.
Yeah.
No.
And so when you realize the finality of this, that we're not going to see Corey next month, we're not going to see Corey in 2022. I don't know if we'll ever see likely Corey Hollis in a wrestling ring again. And I don't think we will, unless, they never say never in wrestling. But thank you, Corey. Thank you.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better. It was an honor to call the match, like GB said, and just still kind of surreal that it actually happened and that it's official. So
only guy to have the SHW championship and SH tag championship, correct?
Yep.
Well, that changed.
Well,
as
yeah,
well.
up
He was the
changed.
first. He's
to
the
that
first.
point. To that
He's the
point,
first.
yes.
To that point.
To
yeah.
that
He's
point.
the first. Correct.
We'll get to the next point here in a little bit, but yeah.
Mhm.
It's almost, yeah.
But yeah, so we talked about on commentary, like, what a way to kick off the show. How in the world is anybody going to follow this?
Right.
But of course, we had 6 other great matches that had to follow it and did.
And did.
And the thing is, I feel like there were definitely memorable moments, at least one or several memorable moments in every match.
Yes.
Whether you remember the whole thing or not, there might be some, the War Chamber or the strap match or
Right.
Corey versus Gunner, where you kind of remember a lot of different little bits. But there was at least something in every match that had you remembering it the next day, going, oh, remember when such and such happened? Well, one of those things happened in the very next match, where we saw a 350-pound man climb to the top rope. He even had to get Prater, our junior official, to come over and support his legs while he was standing on the top rope to do a moonsault from the top. And poor Jordan Kingsley got flattened like a pancake. and he got flattened by himself after his partner bailed on him. Kevin Ryan and Jordan Kingsley were both laid out in the ring. And at the last second, I think Kevin looked up and saw Cyrus the Destroyer getting ready to destroy both of them. He rolled out of the ring and bailed out and left poor Jordan Kingsley on his own. But the big part that I thought was interesting, GB, if you want to tell the crowd, was what happened after the match when Jordan's laid there flat in the ring and he calls for a microphone.
Yeah, you know, I wonder if Jordan Kingsley had a death wish that night, because here he is, flattened, beaten, bruised, battered, and he grabs a mic and
Abandoned.
abandoned, right? And he says, "I'm not finished with you." Okay. So obviously Cyrus returns, picks him up. It looks like Cyrus is going to, inflict more bodily harm to him, and instead he pats him on the head and kind of gives him
It's a sign of respect.
absolutely a huge sign of respect, which I think is admirable. And there are lots of questions there. You know, we talked about this match being the ultimate implosion of the Honor Society, but now you can ask, is it really? Cyrus has developed obviously great respect for Jordan, and he should, because Jordan keeps, absorbing these beatings and continues to show up again. But I have a bigger question, and the equally big question is, Kevin Ryan, with friends like him, who needs enemas?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the question.
Yeah.
Notice what I
If
actually
you're gonna
said.
come back, you're gonna make your
I heard.
comeback to SHW.
Yeah.
I heard.
She no-sold it. It was great. I loved it.
Yes. But you're gonna make your comeback to SHW, to assist your tag partner in this big feat, and then bail on him. Completely
Man.
turn your back and save yourself and leave your buddy there to almost die. I mean,
completely abandoned him.
he just rolled out and walked away. Let
So-
him have it.
I think it's pretty clear what happens from here. I think next month
Oh, we definitely got to
gonna-
have him.
it's going to be a handicap match with Cyrus and Kingsley against Kevin Ryan. I'm just kidding. That's not happening. I don't think. I don't make the matches. I don't know, but I'm kidding.
Yeah. Stranger
No,
things have
I'm
happened.
definitely calling Kevin Ryan Jordan.
Yeah.
It's got to happen, but I don't know.
Now, I
Well-
will say this. You remember a few months ago, we had, I don't know how many months ago it was now, but we had Jordan Kingsley on the show. And one of the things that he talked about, he said that he was the better wrestler of this team.
We were kind of
may
poking.
After the
We
summer of COVID.
were kind of poking the
Mhm.
bear a little bit to see what he would say,
Yeah.
but he said he could do it.
But he didn't hesitate.
Yep.
And so now maybe we get to find that out, perhaps. Yeah.
Hey, I'm all for that one.
That's the
I
slow
am
burn,
too.
GB. We soaked the fire a little bit.
We sure
And
did.
now the end
Where
of
are
the
your
story.
spoons?
I don't know, but somebody had the forks in the audience. That's for sure.
Oh my God,
my
that
gosh.
was perfect.
We'll get to the forks here in a little bit too.
Yes.
'cause-
Oh, yes.
because they came into play at one
Yes, they
point.
did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
The next matchup, we had a tag team match with a team that was officially making their in-ring debut. They'd shown up a few times in the past, albeit not in the most polite way. They came in through the crowd in masks and hoods and jumped people from behind. Of course, I'm talking about the approved Adrian Hawkins, Bobby Moore. They're known throughout the Southeast, more specifically, at least lately, in Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. But they had it out for All-Star Special a couple months ago. They took out Logan Creed, they took out Logan Chase at ringside, and then I doubt they could take out Logan Creed. But anyways,
Wow.
they took out Logan Chase at ringside, and then of course last month they attacked All-Star Special and left him lying. So Hanson and Huckabee, they made it a point to talk to management and say, well, we want the approved at the anniversary show. They got it, and we really thought, especially knowing Huckabee and knowing how he kind of like blew a gasket, and we were like, oh, we're going to get the old Huckabee from the Joe Black feud, from the dog collar match, and the approved are going to get their tail whipped, and it didn't quite turn out that way. Let me just preface this, though, by saying they came out to pour some sugar on me, and they didn't actually
I
pour
think you'd be
sugar.
in a bad mood when you play that
Right.
song.
And they didn't actually pour sugar on Logan Chase, but they poured water on him, and he did this weird dance, and I You just have to see it, folks. Check it out on IWTV.
I had an up close and personal view.
Well,
Yes, you did.
I said to GB at one point, I was like, "Oh, I guess they didn't have any sugar, so they're using the water." But then
It was
later in the
sugar
match,
water. Sugar-
Logan gets a handful of something. Maybe it was, and I said maybe that's powdered sugar, and
Perhaps.
he went to throw it, and I don't remember who. Maybe at Adrian Hawkins. I think it was Hawkins, and then he ducked. He ended up hitting Huckabee, and well, All-Star Special, they lost.
Mm.
It shocked me. I was
Yeah.
really shocked, you know, and I thought finally these guys are going to get their comeuppance for running in, attacking people over the last 3 or 4 months, and it didn't happen. So I'm afraid, unfortunately, that means, I guess, that we probably haven't heard the last of the approved in SHW.
No, I don't think so. As they left the ring, of course, they stopped by my little area and stared me down. I guess they could see my disapproval, but looks me square in the face and say, "Tell Gary we're here." I'm like, of course he knows you're here. You just had a match in his show. What are you talking about? Tell Gary you're here. Come on.
Well, now I'm not defending them by any means, but Gary always admits to everybody, I don't even watch the match. I don't know. But the one thing that was funny is before that match, you know, at the show before, when they got on the mic, they said, you know, we're the approved, we're here. You know,
Right.
Gary, you know who we are. And then what did Gary do before the show? He goes on Facebook and makes this long post about, I don't know who these guys are.
I don't know who these guys.
I thought that
Well,
was very funny.
unfortunately, a lot of the fans were also chanting, "Who are you? Who are you?" And I'll have to say, I don't spend a lot of time at Southern Pride, but I've been there once or twice. But I didn't know who they were either. And I'm sad to say that I didn't know the guys that were going to be on the show, but I didn't know a lot about them anyway. But look, All-Star Special is my team. You guys know that is whatever they do, I'm down for.
I
Because
saw a
that's my-
great photo of you and Huckabee maybe doing a little twerk action during the
I'm never going to
entrance.
turn down an opportunity to dance with one of the guys. I'm not going to do that. That's my boys. But
Get down with the get down. Listen,
get down with the
I
get
will-
down.
I will tell you guys, if you've yet to watch this on IWTV, this is worth the price of your monthly subscription to go and watch Diana Michelle get her boogie down on with Will Huckabee. I'm telling you,
Oh, it was
if you
awesome.
asked me at the top of 2021 what were going to be memorable moments in SHW, I would not have predicted that one. But I promise
If you ever
them,
asked me that, that would have not been something I would have ever told you would happen.
but it sure did. And I promise you guys, you're going to want to see it if you haven't seen it already. Wow. So,
It was so
shout
fun.
out. That was great.
But like that song, I mean, you can't not
Yeah.
say that song.
No,
Yeah, it
I don't
was-
blame you for dancing. It was just I
Yeah.
wasn't ready for it, and I was like, "Oh, look at this!"
Right. It was great. But yeah, you know, in terms of the approved, I think it was as shocking of a debut in SHW as we've had. We've not had, we've had a lot of people come into SHW looking to make a name for themselves. And we always talk about what could potentially happen if they did. And the SHW incumbents, dare I say, always defend the home turf successfully. This is the first time we've really seen a snafu with All-Star Special and Logan Chase. It seemed as though their chemistry was finally on, and then this happens. And it gives them not just a pinfall loss, but now it introduces the entire Southern Honor world to the approved. And here's the crazy part. It's really crazy when you talk a whole bunch of smack about SHW, and then you come in and win.
Yeah.
We've not seen that happen before.
Mhm.
And so this team of the approved, former 3-time Anarchy Tag Champions, former 3-time Southern Fried Champions, they've done a lot outside of SHW. SHW is the next hill for them to conquer. And I'm actually frightened that they got to win over All-Star Special. We
See, I
can't
didn't
deny them
realize
anything.
they had so many accolades. I didn't know.
Yeah, they've done quite a bit. And again, it's not SHW, right? But what it is it has certainly laid the groundwork that when they come in, they have a lot going on for them. And again, with all of that, none of us really thought that they would get past this version of All-Star Special. But I have to say this also. We thought, to your point, B-Dub, that we were going to get, the dog collar Huck. And I don't know that we fully got the dog collar Huck.
I was kind of surprised.
I was surprised too. And I don't know if it was just...
It's the song.
It might have been the song.
I'm going to blame Rich. I'm going to blame Rich Ward because it was his idea. So I love Rich, love you, but I'm going to blame you for this because we needed a darker song.
Well, I was surprised that there was going to be anything celebratory based on what happened over the last month for All-Star Special. So it's going to be interesting to see how they regroup from this, because this is the challenge to me.
They're still my boys.
For a while early on, I'm trying to remember if we had it in SHW. I know we used it a little bit in Pro South, but Huckabee used a variation of Coolio's Gangster's Paradise.
Yes.
Which it's funny because all the songs they've been using are karaoke songs. Well, let me just tell you, that happens to be one of my karaoke songs.
You do Gangster's Paradise.
By the way, GB, and I'm going to put this on where everybody can see it. Our boys, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, they were doing the carpool karaoke.
Yes.
And remember I commented, I said we need to do our own and see who's better? Well, if we do our own, that could be the one we use.
We need to do
Take
that.
a road trip right now just to do that.
We should. I think we could give them a run for their money.
I'm just saying. Anyways, I took a left turn there, but my point was
During the car ride.
That could have not only been a good karaoke jam, at least for me, but it could have been a darker, more ominous song for them to come out to and gotten Huckabee in that dog collar match mindset.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right, Diana. Maybe it was because they were too peppy when they came out and they just weren't ready. But it is what it is. The record book shows the approved got their first win in their first match in SHW. So we'll see.
Maybe we can make it their own lane.
Really? Yeah. We'll see what the future holds. I don't know.
Yeah.
But following that, speaking of dark stuff, we had I've been kind of dubbing it the monster match, where we had Ravenna Vane teaming with the monster of SHW, Sunny Days, and of course Brooklyn teaming with the Heathen Cruel. A battle of the former members of Fear, which is still crazy to me that Logan, formerly Logan, now the Heathen Cruel, has turned his back, and I guess Brooklyn seems to be kind of controlling him. And he turned his back on Ravenna and Sunny, and this was the big match that I think a lot of people were looking forward to. And, well, I don't know that it turned out the way a lot of people wanted it to, but the thing that really got me in that, here's the thing, and we didn't really know this until the match got going, was, in my view, mixed tag means guys versus guys, gals versus gals. So if the female gets tagged in, then the other female has to get in, and vice versa. And then an intergender tag team match, to me, would be the women can fight the men, vice versa. So I was expecting it to be a mixed tag match, and it turned out to be more of an intergender match, where and what really worried me about that is because I don't want to see Cruel, getting physical with Ravenna Vane, or I don't want to see Sunny.
Done it.
And he has, but I don't want it to be like officially legal in a match. And I didn't want to see Sunny getting physical with Brooklyn. So the way they started the match just really irked me from the get-go, is where Brooklyn comes out on the stage by herself. Sunny goes to approach her, leaving Ravenna in the ring by herself. Not Logan, formerly Logan, the Heathen Cruel, comes in through the crowd and just lays out Ravenna Vane to start the match. And just I don't know, what were you guys' thoughts overall on this match? It was kind of ugly to watch.
It was complete chaos.
Yeah,
there was no rhyme or reason to any of it. Actually, that to me, it was, I wanted Ravenna to get some more licks in, for sure. I wanted her to be able to hold her on, but she got chokeslammed. She got
kicked in the face.
And kicked in the face early. Cruel went through all the what were they called? The yellow faced dudes.
We called them. What did we call them? Minions.
The minions. Yeah.
I don't know if they officially had a name, but when they came out, GB, I think we're calling them minions.
Yeah, not the little minions, but yeah.
That's the only minions I know.
Yeah.
I know.
No, they're bigger minions.
I mean, minion is a term before that movie
Yeah.
came out. Like a
Right.
minion is like somebody's little helpers or whatever, little
We'll call them
sidekicks.
Sunny's demons. I'm just gonna say.
Well, we call them minions, so it's too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So if
By the
anybody goes,
way-
if anybody goes back and watches it and is offended that we called them minions, too bad. We called them minions.
Sorry.
They had yellow faces just like those little minions from the
they
cartoon.
did.
Oh,
but-
man.
Oh my god. Anyway,
Gosh. Oh,
yeah,
man.
it was a crazy match. It was a lot of unexpected, a lot of brutality there. You know, the man against the women, and you know, in the end, Brooklyn got what she wanted. She got her heathen cruel standing tall over Sunny Days and Ravenna. Ravenna had to be escorted out, and I'm not sure what the whole take the face paint off of Sunny was about, but you know, they got to reveal his identity and everything. So I mean, I'm sure she's happy.
Well, GB, you kind of mentioned it was, what did you say, like a badge of honor or like a trophy?
Yeah, it was kind of like a trophy for them. Like, you know, when some folks, you know, they take the blood of their opponents and they wipe it on their chest,
The
or
mask.
the mask in a luchador situation, or if you cut, you know, someone's hair. It's very clear that they chose to do something very personal.
Yeah.
And that was just brutal to see. And overall, I mean, if you ever wonder if this heathen cruel is a different cat, you know, Logan Creed would have never hit a woman. He never would have. So the idea that Cruel just, I mean, obliterated Ravenna says a whole lot about where this guy's mindset is. It's frightening. I don't know what happens from now, but it was just a scary, scary time. I didn't want anything to do with Cruel. And what scares me is Brooklyn has this unusual control over him, and she doesn't want to exactly let up. So because I don't think she has much in the way of boundaries, I don't know what else this guy will do. He beat up Zach, the gear guy, who I'm sure is watching, still convalescing with his neck brace. You know, I don't know. They had him beat up Ravenna, all these other things. So there's no lengths that Cruel won't go if Brooklyn just lets him out there. So I don't know what this means for the rest of the SHW. I don't know, but yeah, scary.
You know,
time.
it kind of reminds me of, do you remember the old Batman with Poison Ivy and Bane and the green juice going into the, that's kind of, do you remember that? And she would give him the green juice and he would just be like indestructible and he would just tear up everything and beat up everybody. That's the feel I get from Brooklyn and the Heathen. So I don't know. I don't know how to
He's
stop
an evil
that.
mastermind, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say, and you know, I've made my feelings on this known before. Not crazy about intergender wrestling. I don't know. It's because I got 4 sisters and I was raised in the South, and I know not to lay a hand on a
They
woman.
probably beat you up, didn't they?
And no, not because of that. I'm just saying, like, you just don't lay a man.
Because
does not
I'm a
lay-
girl from the South and we don't take crap from guys like that. So
Well, but I'm
even
saying
brothers and cousins are going to get beat up.
a man, not to me, a man doesn't lay a hand on a female in a physical, in a violent way.
I
And
agree.
so, you know, and I'll go back to really early on. Might have been our second show. I think we had a tag match where it was Danny and Alan Angels versus Shannon Moore and Lindsay Snow, and it was intergender. And I was like, I'm not crazy about this. I think we had a match where it was Ashton Starr singles match with Danny at one point, and even, you know, just stuff like that. When Ashton laid out Susie that time, I'm like,
Yeah, I didn't like that.
it's very cringy to me, and I don't like it. But whatever, it is what it is.
Such a good guy.
But I don't make the matches. Anyways, let's move on. Another big crazy match we had that was very memorable, and GB may remember it more than the rest of us for certain reasons. The Samoan strap match. Samoan strap match between Danny Jordan and Reka Tahaka.
Queen Reka Tahaka.
That's still up for debate. She lost the match. So
Not up for debate.
It's not up for debate for you. It's up for
Well,
debate for everybody else.
I will speak my piece when my time comes.
Well,
Go ahead. Take your time.
No. I want no. Please lead in as proper. 'Cause
well,
I wanna-
I will just say it was, to me, And not to take anything away from any of the other matches, but it stood out to me as one of the most memorable just because of how wild and crazy it was. We had no idea what to expect.
Mhm.
And I'll say this, we talked about this off air, but I'll go ahead and put it out there for everybody to hear. Sometimes, let me just say this. A lot of times people will come to us at shows or message us online because they want to know the inside scoop and they think we're told things and we know things. Folks, it's not how it works. When we show up, we're just like you guys. We're calling this stuff because we don't know what's going to happen. And case in point, nobody even clued us in as to the rules of this match. So you'll hear us on commentary the whole time because to me, a strap match is incapacitate your opponent, tag all four corners, match is over. I was under the impression that that's how this match was going to go. Well, that's not how it ended. And so as you'll see, if you watch it on IWTV or if you were there in person, that is not how it ended. And much to my surprise, because I thought I knew how strap match worked. But this was a Samoan strap match, so maybe that was the difference that I was unaware of. Anyways, it was a little wild. It was a little wonky because I didn't know the rules, but they went all over the place. And GB, I'll let you talk about what happened up on stage next to us when we get to you, because that to me was the wildest and craziest part. And not just because of what was happening, but because of what you were repeatedly yelling as it was happening, which I did my best to contain my
He's so
my
proud.
composure.
Look at him.
I
did my
am
best
proud.
to
He's
contain
so
my
proud.
composure and not laugh as you were doing it, because
I-
it was
I-
it was kind of funny. But anyways,
I laughed so hard. I watched from where I was and I was dying. I was like, look, he's in the middle of everything. They're all over him. She's falling all over him. But hey, long live the queen, right?
oh, speaking
Yeah,
of which,
well,
the fork situation, I forgot to mention. We talked about the big forks earlier.
Yeah.
At one point, one of those things, it was like these things were like wooden, like thin wood
They were like
boards. that
6 foot tall.
Yeah.
These giant
Yeah.
forks. Because of the Hold Your Fork documentary and
Mhm.
Gary's catchphrase, Hold Your Fork. So some fans brought several of them, and one of them got used in the match. One of them got
Mhm.
broken over the back of somebody else. Like, it was pretty insane. But GB,
It was.
GB, your
It's a-
thoughts on your queen? Go ahead.
It was an incredibly physical match. We knew this was going to be a barn burner, and I think it exceeded all of our expectations. Again, strap matches, the history of strap matches. Now it's been, about 13 years or so since we've actually seen a strap match, a Samoan strap match, that is. But there are rules to strap matches, obviously. But before we get into the rules, it was an incredible match, a
Yeah.
physical match. It was the longest match we've had an opportunity to see our queen in, because she had been in very quick matches, because her opponents couldn't handle her, which I understand. She's an overwhelming queen. And Danny this time came in prepared. I think everybody knew, all right, she knew she was fighting Danny. This wasn't Danny coming in the back door or anything like that. She faced her face to face. But before I get into the rule situation, I will say this. It was an honor to support the queen. The queen brought the action up to the commentary booth, which I did not know she was going to do. It got very physical. I was almost willing to take a strap in honor for the queen, because that's what you do in the queendom. But it was my honor to support the queen as she needed some assistance and she needed a shoulder to lean on. And I was happy to provide that. And while doing that, remind the world, all hail the queen, all hail the queen. Now, let me tell you why she's still our queen. Because if you didn't know the rules, Brandon, and if I didn't know the rules, how do you think she knew the rules?
It was a
rules-
Samoan strap match.
A Samoan strap match where you are to touch all four corners. Okay? Who said every other strap match that's ever
A
happened?
Samoan strap match. That's
Okay, so let's
recognized.
go here. The last Samoan strap match to happen in our business was Extreme Rules 2009, the great CM Punk versus the great Umaga. And what would happen in this Samoan strap match? The rules were, holy cow, you touch all four corners. So
Yeah.
I'm not making this up in defense of the queendom as if the queendom needed defending. I'm just saying the rules are what they are. If you change the rules to attempt to usurp the queendom, then there's some chicanery going on.
Who changed the rules?
The management clearly changed the rules. If we didn't
Can't
know
argue,
it,
I can't argue that because
I don't
wait,
know.
not just that, but all of a sudden there was a time limit brought into this, right? 2-minute
I didn't
time
know.
limit. Normally, if there's a time limit involved, they tell you, if it's a 20-minute, or they'll tell you 10 minutes have expired, 5 minutes remaining. All of a sudden, in the middle of this brutal battle, I'm telling you, it was well, here's what we know. Now, I don't want to make accusations, but let's just take a look at this.
Far be it.
Far be it from me, but the week before Still Here 3, an emotional documentary comes out called Hold Your Fork, telling the story of Southern Honor Wrestling. Do they include the new queen? No, but we get a very powerful, heartfelt, string-tugging story about Danny Jordan, who, let's face it, Danny was there since day one. Danny has been Miss SHW. I totally get it. And don't get me wrong, I love the story. I support Danny Jordan. But it seemed very clear from watching that documentary that there was a desire for Danny Jordan to be given the queendom. So put out a great story on her, which there should be a great story. She endured some really tough stuff, and I'm honestly very, very glad that she's back, right? But if she's going to win the queendom, let's all operate with the same rules. If she had touched all four corners and those were the rules and everybody was operating on the same page, I would tell you Danny Jordan regained her queendom. But the rules changed in front of all of our eyes, okay? If they had even told us that submissions and pinfalls were allowed, okay, I could say she tapped out in the strap match because it followed the rules. Isn't it funny how in the world of pro wrestling, when you either change the rules or you operate against the rules, there's something called a disqualification because you didn't operate within the parameters of the rules. I'm just saying,
Clearly, we
long
are
live the
going to
queen.
have somebody clear all this up for us.
Well,
I don't know who we need to talk to.
I don't know. I don't know who,
management.
Well,
Do
I'm
we need
just
to call
saying.
Rekka and ask her if she knew the rules?
The queen clearly, listen, when the queen was leaving, she looked at me and I told her as I was telling the audience that she was robbed. And she said, I was cheated. She told me that. She said, I was cheated. So that means she knew that the rules were changed. Have you not seen the Montreal screw job?
Yes,
We
of
just
course.
got the Canton screw job.
Are we
here in
saying
this
that
strap
the
match.
referee was in on this screw job because he counted?
Who knew? Here's the question.
Hey,
who knew the rules?
Hey, guess who that referee was?
Wait,
Was
was
it
it weekly?
Todd?
Was it weekly?
Was it weekly?
The same referee. We've had questions about this all year long.
I
I'm
will
just
not
saying.
deny that.
I shouldn't have brought that up.
Hello.
I'm just kidding. David,
Hello.
David, you're
I'm
a
just
great
making
man.
a clear
I'm just-
point.
I should have said
Thank
that.
you very much.
David's
Weekly-
has some questionable calls. I will say
weekly-
that. But so has Todd.
Well, long live the queen.
I just want
We want to
people,
honor the queen, Queen Rekka Tahaka, for the summer of Tahaka. Thank you, Queen.
regardless of what happened. I just want people to go back, and I don't know if it's up yet or if it'll be up soon. If it's
It's
not
a great
up yet,
match.
I know it will be up soon if it's not up yet. But IWTV, go back and watch it, and just please look out for the part where they're on stage. And GB repeated what he said, but he didn't say it like he said it. Because the way he said it was,
He's got her on his back.
"Oh, hail the queen! Oh, hail the queen!" Like 4, 5,
He
6
is
times.
supporting her, like
It was-
completely holding her up in everything. I'm like, what is going on up there?
Oh,
The
that's great.
queen deserves. See, we don't support our leaders well enough, and I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity,
Let
and
me
that
call
she,
David Ali right
and
quick.
that she deemed me worthy. Right? She deemed me worthy to be supportive of the queendom. She didn't try to harm me like David Ali did.
She deemed you worthy. Okay.
She
Okay.
didn't put a bat to
I
my.
love Rekka. I'm not even bucking you, but I'm like, man, you are hating on Danny.
I'm not hating on Danny.
Oh my God.
I am not hating on Danny. I am merely supporting the queen. I supported Danny this entire time. I did. And I
Until
was the
Recca?
first one. I was the first one shocked when she lost to Wreck in under 60 seconds. I was shocked. Go back and listen to it. I was shocked.
Oh, I'm
But
sure.
but then I recognized the idea that this is the new rule. Long live
Well,
the queen.
all I'm gonna say about the match is it makes me not ever want to be a bad girl anymore, because I remember butt whippings with a belt when I was a kid, and that's exactly what I felt like.
Yeah, I did have flashbacks. I will tell you
Yes.
that. I had flashbacks because there
I
was
didn't
some
go get
strong whipping
switches.
going
I
on.
didn't go get paddles. I had to go get the strap, and that was not a good day for me. So
Nope.
they took it to the limit. They beat the
They did.
crap out of each other, and
It
yes,
was a great
they were
match.
all over GB, and
It was.
Well, let's
Sometimes you have to take one for the team.
I feel like this could go on all night, but let's talk. Since we talk about people getting cheated, that'll get us into our next match here. It was for the tag team championships, and let's talk about two guys who had stolen the belts a few months before. Zicky Dice, Ashton Starr had stolen physical title belts, claiming themselves as the tag team champions, posting on social media that they were their
confusing Georgia.
They were getting the funniest part to me. All these comments going, "Hey, congratulations, congratulations!" None of these people knew that they had just stolen the belts. They didn't legitimately win them. However, at Still Here 3, they had the opportunity to have an official match with the rightful champions, Technical Excellence, Kyle Matthews and Chip Day. Unfortunately, talked about some chicanery in the previous match. Well,
This is where I question Todd.
I said this. Well, here's and you're right there, because at one point, Jeremy Prater, who was the official of the match, gets decked with a title belt, and I think he even said it on commentary. Well, if he comes to, shouldn't he disqualify Ashton and Zicky for getting hit with the belt? Well,
Right.
again,
I mean, everybody else saw that, so why would you go out there and count them victor if you saw that happen? Come on,
there
Todd.
was
Come on.
a lot of craziness in there. I will say just a quick props to Todd, because he made a nice athletic jump from the stage to
He
the
did.
at one point.
I was wondering who was going to be the one to do that. I did not know it was going to be a referee.
And I'm glad it was successful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was
By the way,
perfect.
Todd Fox hasn't been around a lot lately. We've only seen him a couple of times back since since all the chaos of the pandemic last year. So he's my boy. I always get excited when I get to see Todd Fox.
Yeah,
However,
I love Todd. I
in
love
thi-
Todd. I just have
however, in
questions
this case,
about that.
you're correct, because it was a little questionable.
Yeah.
Because when he got out there and he saw Prater was down, well, I mean, didn't he notice that he got decked by the belt?
He knew. He had to know. He had to know.
Anyways,
They don't have monitors in the back.
what are your
so-
thoughts? Well, we don't have one
Well,
in the commentary booth.
I didn't see anybody go to the back to tell him to come out there. Somebody had to tell him to come out there, so he knew what was going on.
I don't know. I don't know, but I will tell you this. We have new tag champs, and it's Zicky Dice and Ashton Starr. How do we feel about that? Do we feel okay, or do we just I don't
I
know.
don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So Diana, why don't you know how you feel about this?
I just woo. Man. I mean, Ashton. Let's just start with Ashton. We've all had our times with Ashton. You know, we all had our. You know, we've had to defend ourselves. We had to cater to him unwillingly, unwantingly. Which Ashton do we have right now? I mean, is he the nice Ashton, or is he the one that's, you know, he might hit Susie again? You know, that kind of, who is Ashton tonight?
I don't know. Well, now that he has a title, maybe he'll go back to nice
He's got
Ashton.
two, because remember he made me hold that sideshow title, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
this isn't even an SHW title. Why am I coming over here holding this thing? He's yelling at me. I need you to take my title. Why? I didn't want to, but whatever. I had to hold it. And then Zicky. He's been nothing but nasty to me since he's got here. I ain't, First of all, you're going to call me a bimbo. You're going, let's just go back. I just don't know how I feel about this. I just really don't.
I think part of your angst, which I fully understand. I mean, clearly neither Ashton or Zicky have exactly been kind to us. I mean, my God, Brandon, they almost made you eat a dozen cupcakes on site, right?
I didn't want
Which would not have been so bad had they not wanted you to do it all at once.
Right. If they
I
had
mean,
let
look,
it
I
spread
can
it
do
out,
it.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it
can do
be
it.
done.
I didn't want to have to do it in front of everybody.
and there's
It's
a lot of
not a hard
pressure.
task.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of pressure.
Yeah.
But I think part of the angst of, you know, them being now the tag team champions is how they came in through the back door and how they stole those titles, you know, a couple of months ago, you know, trying to make up their own rules and
Right.
act like, you know, it's their thing instead of actually following the rules of how one becomes a tag team champion. So we didn't honor their, you know, attempted reign for 2 months because they weren't champions, right? It's kind of hard in this scenario where, you know, there was definitely some chicanery that happened.
Mhm.
But the unfortunate reality is they are our tag team champions because the rules of the match actually were about a pinfall, right? Clear rules. So we can
Yeah.
acknowledge it, right?
Mhm.
Acknowledge her. So, you know, the interesting thing for me is amid all of this, history was made. Not only do we have new tag team champions, but Ashton Starr becomes the second person to hold both the SHW championship and the SHW tag team championship. The irony of it all is that the first person to do it was the person that ended his SHW championship reign, who ultimately became the first two-time SHW champion. Pretty crazy to see all of that happen. But congratulations. What I don't know, to your point, Diana, is if, you know, because if you think about it, it's been about a full year. You know, it was last year at Rumble Jack when Ashton Starr really just kind of changed his ways after losing that SHW title match. And all he really wanted was to be a champion. Now that he's finally accomplished that, will we get a kinder, gentler Ashton Starr, or will he just kind of say, hey, this is the way, I'm too over to kill, so nope, I'm going to be this way, period, end of
He's got
discussion.
Zicky right beside him, just influencing. There's no way he's going to be the nice Ashton.
Yeah, I think the nice Ashton may be gone. And now this is something that we're going to have to deal with. And this caps off, well, this is just another addition to him for what has been a pretty significant year. I mean, he got his own documentary. He scored 100 points better on the PWI 500 this year than last year. He's now got 2 championships. Like, Lord, and the year's not over yet. I don't know.
I mean, props to him. You got to love the guy. But
Well, you know, I'm not going to say I love him, but he, you know, he's got me to call him by his name. So there we go.
There's a
still the
step.
best team.
That's a
Best
step
team,
forward.
best tag team.
It is a step forward. I do try to be, you know, as impartial as possible, but extenuating circumstances. Well, listen, David Ali has given me a hard time.
It's
Ashton
obvious.
Starr has given me a hard time. They've given me a hard time. It's been well documented. Well
You're right.
documented.
I wasn't even referring to those two. I was referring to earlier.
Oh, you're referring to me
But-
supporting the queendom?
No. You just take it however you want. We'll move on.
I don't think he's ever felt the wrath.
Oh, hail the queen! Oh, hail the queen!
All hail. All
Oh,
hail.
Fans,
Oh,
just
hail.
go. Please just go watch that on
God,
IWTV.
the land.
It's one of my new favorite things. It went from I used to have a favorite GB call, and it was when David Ali won the title, and right when he won it, GB went, no! So now my new favorite GB call, coincidentally on the same night where David lost the title.
Please make a shirt.
How ironic is that?
Make
That
a
should be
shirt.
on a shirt. That should be on a shirt.
She'd be
Yes.
doing something like this with some all
Yes.
hail the queen.
All
and just-
hail the queen. Listen, take me on the road,
And
okay?
put a little coming to America spin on it.
Absolutely.
Please.
What is
would
that, velvet?
straight
What
up
is it,
like-
velvet? Golly.
I got an idea, and we'll get to this in a little bit after we talk about this final the main event match, because I've got an idea of an artist who could draw something up, because I want to show a
Yeah.
picture here in a minute. But anyways,
Yeah.
before we get to that, let's talk about the main event. Main event. You just heard me bring up David Ali. It was 6 men inside the War Chamber. You had 2 rings surrounded by a giant cage. Very obviously the War Games setup, but it wasn't a War Games match. Now, something that was unusual we didn't know about going in. Oh, surprise! We didn't know something going into the show. One of the things was in one ring.
Here.
Yeah, one ring. They took the ropes off of one of the rings, which was crazy to me. I did not see that coming, and then it was quite a visual. So again, go back and watch this on IWTV when it's released. It was very cool. But so instead of War Games where we had multiple teams coming out, this was 5 or 6 individual competitors. David Ali, of course, defending the title. It was elimination style. Started with 2. Every couple of minutes, a new guy came in. It was an elimination by pinfall or submission. And the last man standing was the new SHW champion. And we started out Owen Knight and Judas. And so Owen Knight had such a story going into this. Not only just this year, not only since he had the cage match back in January, but I'd venture to say his whole career in SHW. Been in the business 8 years, been in SHW since the beginning, 3 years, and this was just like the one thing he couldn't quite attain was that SHW championship. And so when he was the first entrant, I thought, man, it's going to be tough to win this match regardless of where you come in. But at number 1, no way. No way.
But the Rumblejack.
Same kind of thing. You're right. Mm-hmm. But Rumblejack is not within the steel cage. And I don't know. I just didn't see it happening. But and then the second entrant with Judas coming in, I thought.
That was good.
Yeah. So I thought he was done for.
They almost locked me in there. I was announcing. They almost locked the door.
I saw you like, wait. Let me out.
Yeah.
You got me in here with a monster. Hold on.
So what were you guys' thoughts overall on the match? I mean, it was an incredible way to end the show, an already incredible show to that point.
Oh, yeah.
And, it had its work cut out for it to be able to main event such a massive show. But I thought it was great.
It was. I mean, what other 6 people would you put in that particular match? I mean, for the SHW championship.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what a reign by David Ali has been. Honestly, and no, I've never been a hallelujah kind of girl. I'll support the Street Fighter. So I will support the Street Fighter, but that's where I draw the line. But Owen Knight, well deserved. I applaud, love him, love to announce him, love to say that he was a champion after all of that he's been through. So for me, I'm pleased. I'm completely pleased.
What a night, what a match. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And you're right, B-Dub. What other match could have possibly ended a massive night like this? And, to be honest with you, for all that we had seen for the 301 days of David Ali's historic SHW reign, he had beaten virtually everybody. He had landed and gone through every challenge put before him. Owen Knight, shout out to him for, figuring out the ultimate cheat code to David Ali, which was hard to do. And you think about it, man, Owen Knight, again, you talk about those Rumblejacks really being amongst the number 1 or number 2 entrant over the last 2 years, lasting all the way to the end and then having some sort of chicanery happen. And the irony that the last 3 men in the cage would be the last 3 men in Rumblejack 2020. And just to see how all of that unfolded, it's interesting because on one hand, we obviously acknowledge the contributions of Corey Hollis. We have to acknowledge this historic reign of David Ali, which was incredible. And again, I know he's not exactly been kind to me over the years, but, when you're getting to witness history, it is really something to watch. And his reign has been incredible. With that said, the story of Owen Knight, man, is there anybody who's worked harder to get to this spot, who did not have a manager and did not have a second hand and did not have someone who was doing their dirty work, right? And they didn't have a bat on fire, and they didn't, put a bat to somebody's throat and try to force themselves down anyone's throat. Instead, he did the work. He did the hard work of going from being overlooked to being undeniable, right? Like, he's that guy. And so I'm so happy that Owen Knight finally grabs the brass ring, finally becomes the SHW champion, and leads us into a brand, dare I say, new era of SHW, because things are changing. No more Corey Hollis. We don't know the future of David Ali in SHW. We do know that we've got a new champion, and we don't know, if David Ali's going to want a rematch. We don't know who the next contender is going to be. We don't know any of it. But I do think, in fairness to Owen Knight, man, we just got to love on him and love this moment and what it means for SHW and what it means for Owen Knight. I mean, he's been overlooked by so many people. The Georgia Wrestling History Awards has said all sorts of things about Owen Knight. And we have been the ones pleading his case, fighting for him, believing for him. And people say all these kinds of things. Well, you can't deny his greatness now that he has the #1 championship in independent wrestling. And he beat the #1 guy. So put some respect on Owen Knight's name. Refer to him as Owen Knight, the SHW champion, because that's who he is.
And what a reaction from the crowd, too. It was deafening in there, man.
Yeah.
And it is all 575 or however much the count was, none of them left. We had to take a brief intermission to set the cage up, and they all came right back to their seats. Nobody was going to miss that. And they did not let anybody down. You talked about Owen never having a manager or never having a second guy, like a sidekick, like an Austin Towers or something like that. But he had the crowd. He had the crowd, and that crowd, every time he comes out, it's like tradition now. They got the Rick Ross, they got the beat, they shake the guardrail along with the beat of the song. Like I always refer to them as the Owen Knight fan club down there in that front row. But it's not just them, it's like the entire audience. And they're right there behind him. And so that place just exploded when he got the pinfall on David Ali, which was something to see, man. It was really, really cool. And I was glad, we were lucky to be a part of that too. It was a really cool moment. But what I wanted to show, this was something that, of course, Immortal Tattoos, they're one of our great sponsors at SHW. They've been there, we talked about since day one earlier. They've been there since the beginning, come to every show. Cheyenne, the sign girl, always holding up the best signs. And her dad, Mike, one of the best artists. And this was posted earlier this week on Twitter and maybe some of the other socials. But it's kind of a cool, it's like David Ali looking at all the people that he's defeated, or not just defeated, but that he's kind of roughed up over the course of his title reign.
What was it he said? The people that he used
that he's
to
stronghold, that he's strong-armed or whatever. Yeah, that got stronghold on the belt. Well, yours truly, the V3 here, we actually made the drawing. I don't know if this will show up on here. It's on my phone, but see if I can get it to focus maybe.
There you go.
Kind of see it there.
There you go.
We're right up here. Right.
It's the coolest.
But it's
It is quite cool.
If you have it, if you can't really see it on there, but if you go on social media, I'm sure you'll find it posted. I think I'll even share it on the SHW podcast page just so you can check it out. But I thought, man, what a cool little drawing there. And it's cool that we got included, but I feel bad for the reason we got included was the fact that we were 3 of the people that he roughed up along the way.
I want to think, did he rough me up?
Well, he was, maybe he didn't rough you up
got in my face
physically.
and I gave it back to him. So.
Yeah, he didn't rough you up physically.
Really?
He just gave you the business. And then GB, of course, got the barbed wire bat. I went to a Pro South match one time to call his match to represent SHW, and slammed me into the locker. I don't know. I still think the barbed wire bat to the throat was the worst that anybody got. Anyways, you know what? He don't have the belt no more.
The reign is over.
The reign of terror is over.
It is over. It is over.
And congratulations to the working team captain, Owen Knight, your new SHW champion. And it kind of feels good to say and new.
And
Yes.
new. That was
champion.
really cool.
And he looks so good with the belt.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Speaking of which, I mentioned earlier, we released the graphic or the poster for next month's show earlier this week, where you see the champ front and center holding the title. And November 5th, SHW 33. Of course, we've got a little bit of time between now and then, so we'll be hyping that up as more matches get announced along the way. But that was that was Still Here 3 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
in a big nutshell.
Yeah.
So be sure to check it out on IWTV. Let us know what you thought of it. We're still buzzing off of it. It was an amazing show to witness live. But
Yes.
anyways,
And if you haven't been to a live show, what are you doing?
yeah, what are you waiting for?
What are you doing? November 5th. Get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, anything else for the fans before we sign off this week? Other than get there?
Yeah, get there.
Get there.
And thank you for your continued support. Man, shout out to the amazing folks who did the tailgate party. You know, it just, golly, I am just blown away at your support of SHW and for loving on us as a team. And man, it's amazing. So thank you. We love you guys, man. And we can't wait to see you in November.
I'm going to have to get through traffic just a little quicker to get up there next time. Maybe leave the house at 10 a.m. I don't know.
Good Lord. Gosh.
I don't want to miss it next time. That was an awesome setup.
Well,
Yeah.
GB, and thank you all for reminding me. Jeff and Nadine, and they bring their son Jax to all the shows. And
He
they
is
started
so
coming.
cute.
Yeah, they started coming like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and they hit me up on Facebook and like, we're hooked. Like right after the first show, they were hooked. Jax loves it. The family loves it. They bring out the crew, them and Donald Piper's out there. Donald Piper, if you're not sure, he's got the mohawk. He wears a kilt, and he brings the fake leg to the shows for people to use as a weapon from time to time. But yes, he's part of the tailgate. But it's like a real deal tailgate. If you've been to like college football tailgating, like for me, I'm used to going to UGA tailgating where it's like the real deal. Tents set up. You got the grills and the smokers.
No,
and
dude, he's got an oven made out of a file cabinet.
That's brilliant. That's really brilliant.
So he actually cooked us up some pizza. They had all kinds of sausages and burgers and all kinds of good stuff. And it was very, very cool. So that's what you don't want to miss this. I mean, folks are lining up starting at like noon on show day. Maybe I think one lady said she got there like 10:30 in the morning.
Jeez.
So
I mean, the doors open at 7, right?
Yeah,
But the party
tickets on
starts
sale at 5.
way before. The party's way before.
So
yeah.
You just got to check it out, man. It is a blast. And, you know, as we get into the colder months, you know, it might be a little harder to do. But you know what? Football's in the fall and into the winter, and people still
tailgate in the freezing
people will still
cold.
be out there, especially with this setup. What was even cooler, and I don't know if I think I forgot to mention it, they had this huge flat screen TV set up.
Yes.
And they pulled up. So when we were out there for the tailgate, they were watching the SHW documentary.
Right.
When we went inside and we're doing the pre-show on Facebook, they're texting me pictures of them watching us on the flat screen outside.
Crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts. Anyways, best fans in pro wrestling, SHW fans.
Absolutely.
Oh, anyways, I keep saying like we're wrapping up, and then I think of something else. I'm like, oh, but what about this? And what about this? Anyways, I think that is going to wrap us up for this week.
Yeah.
But we will be back. We'll be back soon, and we'll be hyping up SHW 33 coming up on November 5th. But until then, this has been
SHW.
This is our wrestling.